What's going on, guys? Zuko back with another Dragonflight video. We're going to kind of do a comparison here. So it's like a Shadowlands slash Dragonflight video. It's that season right now. We're in that season in between expansions, right? All the new stuff's coming out in alpha, but we still have stuff in the game that we're playing right now. What I want to do is a comparison between a build that I love to do in game right now, which is the Ice Strike build. It in fact has Hailstorm, Storm Flurry, Forceful Winds, and then it has Ice Strike over here. The Ice Strike isn't actually as necessary on live because the only thing it does is reset the cooldown of Frost Shock. We'll get to that in a minute, but I want to compare like this build with basically what you could do in Dragonflight. Like what is possible to do. There's all my notes. Like what is possible to do with this tree on Dragonflight. So I have a tree all worked up here, and we're gonna talk about it in a minute, but let me just get to the gameplay first and talk to you guys about how this build works. I just did a testing on the dummies here, and I'll show you how it works in a second. What I'm trying to do is get a kind of a rough comparison of how does the build function on live? Will it function better in Dragonflight? I think the answer is going to be unequivocally yes, and we're going to see like what new tools do you have in Dragonflight versus what do you have on live that you can work with to like make this build work. So let's jump right into this right here. First of all, there's a bunch of extra passive buffs that I tried to quantify, but you're not really going to be able to do that, okay? So just like bear with me on that. Like there's things like 120 mastery from this. So I'm going to go from 67% to 74%. So we just got 7% more frost damage, which the bulk of our damage is going to be like lightning damage and frost damage or fire damage, right? So bear with me here that there is going to be a lot of passive things that I don't include here, like Kevin Zoozling, and even the conduit here, Focus Lightning is there. And then there's this, which I will talk about later. I'll talk about a couple of these later, but we're not going to get like really good numbers right now. It's just an idea. It's mostly talking about how does the build function on live? Is it like feels good to do it on live? And will it feel better to do it in Dragonflight? So let me get my turnip out really quick here. Turnip. We're going to... Why can't I cast that? I have to put it on my bars? What the heck is happening? Oh, that's a paint gun. I'm an idiot. It's right here. I'm fine, guys. I'm fine. Let's put it there. Now, we have an extra target, which is good just to get a bit more accurate reading. We've got our buffs on. We're going to put Wind Fury down. Okay. Now, here's how the Ice Strike kind of build would work. You're going to run in. You're going to spread your Flame Shocks right away and get a big Primordial Wave going. I am running Witch Doctor Wolf Bones as Necro. Okay? This build is all about generating Maelstrom weapon stacks as quick as possible and then cashing in on them with Hailstorm. So you go Flame Shock here. Let's get the wolves out. Okay? This, we're going to spread it. Primordial Wave over here. Lightning Bolt. Sundering. We're going to reset here. So I'm just basically using spenders into Frost Shock. That's like a lot of my damage. And then occasionally, my wolves are back already. Here we go. Hit this. Hit that. On Dragonflight, I don't think that Frost Shock is going to have a cooldown like it does now. Wolves are back again already. See how fast the wolves come back? It's kind of ridiculous. Frost Shock, Chain Lightning, Ice Strike, Frost Shock. There we go. We're getting that's the basic rotation there. Over here. And then I do another one of these. You can see the cleave damage from the from this. Boom. Sundering. Wolves. Primordial Wave. Let's get this guy. Spread it around. Lightning Bolt. There we go. Damage. Do this. There we go. Once you're juiced in the Primordial Wave window, it's kind of crazy. Wolves are back. My game's lagging. It won't even cast my Frost Shock. Anyway, you get the idea. You sort of have a sustained, like, 25k if I was doing it correctly. Again, numbers are not really what we're looking at. It's how does the build function. One thing that's interesting about this is that I just generated 301 Maelstrom weapon stacks in 1 minute and 23 seconds. Okay, that's more than 3 per minute. It's just basically 3 per minute. 3 Maelstrom weapon stacks per minute. And that's important when we get to the Dragonflight stuff. So right now, this is kind of how the build works. It's pretty clunky with Ice Strike. Even though Ice Strike is doing a decent amount of damage on its own. No, it's not. It's down here. It's only 1.4%. The point of Ice Strike here is to refresh Frost Shock. However, in Dragonflight, you won't need to do that, and they changed how Ice Strike works in Dragonflight. So let me just go over what I've got here on my notes. I know this is going to look really silly, but I want you guys to see this. So, can I zoom in? Yeah, let's make this bigger. Not that big. Okay, so let me get my camera back up here. So, important to understand what we have right now in on the live game. So, the talents that I was running there was Forceful Wind, Storm Flurry, Hailstorm, Sundering, Elemental Spirit. So, I had 5 talents there. I got about 3.3 Maelstrom Weapon stacks per second. Other buffs, I've got Witch Doctor Wolfbones on. I've got my tier set bonus, which is significant, generating a ton of Maelstrom weapon stacks for my tier set bonus and giving me extra wolves. Primordial Wave plus Splintered Elements, Chilled to the Core Conduit, which gives me Maelstrom weapon stacks when I Frost Shock. That's a huge generator of Maelstrom weapon stacks. Mastery buff from Plague Divisor, Focus Lightning Conduit, Tumbling Waves Conduit for Prime Wave. Okay? This is kind of like what you get in the build right now. So then the question is, what are we going to do to this Dragonflight tree? How are we going to build this? And what buffs are we going to get in order to make it better than the live version, right? That's kind of the idea, is that we want to get, can we reconstruct the same build, the Ice Strike build, in Dragonflight, and will it be better? That's the question we need to ask. So let's dive into that right now. So I showed you the talents that we get on live. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 talents. What do we get in Dragonflight if we're doing the same build? Well, we get Forceful Winds right here. We get Hailstorm down here. We get Ice Strike. So those are the same, except it's different now. Actually, we didn't get Ice. Oh, yeah, no, we did. I just hadn't talented into it. What we didn't get was Storm Flurry. So we're +1 on Storm Flurry. We also get Primal Lava Actuators, so it's another +1. We also get Elemental Assault down here, so we're another +1. We also get Legacy of the Frost Witch, which is another +1. Okay? We also get Elemental Spirits, just like we have on live. And Lava Lash is better now in terms of spreading stacks around. So you can see like how many more talents we are actually getting access to for the exact same build. We did not have Storm Flurry. We did not have Hot Hands. We did not have Elemental Assault. We did not have Legacy of the Frost Witch. Okay? That's like a crazy amount of buffs that we're getting there. So this generates Maelstrom weapon stacks. This helps to generate more Maelstrom weapon stacks, which we didn't have before. This is going to be part of your regular DPS rotation, your consistent damage. So you can see like an interesting buff already. We get Witch Doctor Wolfbones the exact same. The Witch Doctor Wolfbones in Dragonflight is actually buffed. Gives you a 4% chance. Increases your chance to generate a Maelstrom weapon stack by 4% instead of 3%. So you get 1% more there. And then you get the Elemental Spirits buff. On top of that, there's new buffs, like Primordial Wave gives us 10 stacks of Maelstrom weapon. Ice Strike is now different. It doubles the damage of your next Frost Shock, which you can cleave with Hailstorm. So that's an incredible button now, which we had it in the live game, and it reset the cooldown of Frost Shock on the live game. It doesn't need to do that. From what I can see, in the class tree, Frost Shock is an instant cast spell with no cooldown. For Enhancement Shaman, it has a cooldown. I don't know if they're going to bring that back. I mean, I have no idea. But it looks like right now, you're going to be able to just more consistently weave your big Frost Shocks in with the Hailstorm buff. Often on live, what will happen right now is that you'll spend a Chain Lightning and you'll be waiting for Frost Shock to come off cooldown, and then you hit it, and then you're kind of you get these awkward like 2-second lulls where your Frost Shock is not off cooldown yet, but you've already used your spender. You're ready to go with the Hailstorm buff, but you can't consume it yet because Frost Shock's not back. I don't think we're going to have the same problem on live. On Dragonflight, I'm sorry. So we'll have to see. So right out of the gates, you're getting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 extra buffs that you didn't have on live. That's a lot of extra power. Again, you are losing stuff like Plague Divisor Marilith's Mastery buff, Kevin's Oozling, the Focused Lightning Conduit, which increases the damage of your spenders. But you can get some of that back right here. Elemental Weapons gives you 5% Fire, Frost, Nature damage, and then you get an extra 3% Fire, Frost damage over here. So you have 8% Fire, Frost, and 5% Elemental Weapons. This tree can be built differently, but I'm just doing it this way because I've been laboring over this for 20 or 30 minutes here trying to figure out exactly what to do, but that's the idea. So those are the extra talents you're getting. Again, the extra talents and buffs that you're getting. Elemental Assault, Legacy, Hot Hand, Storm Flurry, PLA. Those are all new. On top of that, Witch Doctor Wolfbones is buffed. Primordial Waves giving you 10 stacks of Maelstrom Weapon. You can now consume 10 stacks of Maelstrom Weapon. And Ice Strike is buffed, and Ice Strike is going to give you stacks of Maelstrom, which I hope gets changed to Frost Shock. Let's look at the other buffs you're getting. You get 20% more lightning damage from the class tree right here. You're getting a Flurry buff, which is brand new. 15% attack speed for your next 3 melee swings after dealing a crit. Very, very cool. You get 4% crit on your nature spells. That includes, obviously, lightning damage, crash lightning, right? Stormbringer has been buffed to fit with mastery better. This is really cool. Stormbringer, improved Stormbringer. Now also causes your next Storm Strike to do 25% additional damage as nature damage. Right now on live, it just makes it do 25% more damage. So your mastery now gives you additional damage when you're getting that Stormbringer proc, which is very cool. Mastery was like useless before, right, for Storm Strike. Again, Primordial Waves giving us 10 stacks of Maelstrom Weapon. And then that's all the extra buffs that you're getting. So what does this look like? What is the build that you're going to be doing with Ice Strike and Hailstorm compared to live? Is it better? Is it going to be better? What's going on? So similar to live, there's an opening burst window that you have. First of all, the build is going to be like a haste mastery build. That would be my best guess because you need haste as an enhancement shaman, but you're going to want mastery because it buffs your fire, frost, and nature damage. That's all you're doing in this build. You're just pressing, you're building with some Storm Strike, but even Crash Lightning is going to be a better builder. And this is for Mythic Plus, by the way. You're going to be spreading Flame Shocks around, doing lots of fire damage, but you're also going to be getting those huge Hailstorm procs, which is frost damage. You're going to be getting big Primordial Wave lightning bolts on 6 targets, which is nature damage. So you need lots of mastery, okay? So you're trying to build up to 10 Maelstrom weapon stacks as quickly as possible with this build. And things like Elemental Assault and the Primordial Wave buff are going to help you do that. The haste window from Splintered Elements is going to help you do that. Witch Doctor Wolfbones, whenever the wolves are out, they're giving you Maelstrom weapon stacks, okay? They're going to be out all the time. So this generates Maelstrom weapon stacks. This generates Maelstrom weapon stacks. This continues to increase your chance to generate Maelstrom weapon stacks. This gives you 10 Maelstrom weapon stacks right here. The Primal Maelstrom. Your Frost Shot, Ice Strike is going to generate Maelstrom weapon stacks. Storm Flurry is going to trigger your Storm Strike more often, giving you a higher chance to get Maelstrom weapon stacks. You see how many sort of ways you have to get Maelstrom weapon stacks. That's the idea of this build, okay? And what you do is, here's the opener. You want to spend, you basically want to use these spenders to do big damage, reduce the cooldown on wolves, and then your wolves come back and they fuel the rest of the build. So here's your opener. You're going to Flame Shock into Lava Lash, and we now have an improved Lava Lash here. So it spreads to 4 enemies instead of 3. So you go 1 Flame Shock into a Lava Lash. You now have 5 Flame Shocks out. You Primordial Wave a 6th target. Then you press, and when you press Primordial Wave, it gives you 10 Maelstrom weapon stacks right away. Keep that in mind. So you have 6 Flame Shocks out. You now hit Lightning Bolt. It hits all of those, and it consumes 10 stacks of Maelstrom weapon because of this center node right here. Okay? So it does giga crazy damage. First of all, your Lightning Bolt does. And it's going to give you it's just times 6. Sorry, 36%. I was like, wait, 10? I'm going crazy. It gives you 36% haste. It generates 10 stacks. Like, you press Primordial Wave, it gets you to 10. You consume it with Lightning Bolt right away, and then you get 36% more haste, okay? Then you press Ice Strike, and then you press Frost Shock. And your Hailstorm is going to also do crazy AoE damage. I don't know about the wording of Hailstorm. I have to go test this, but I suspect you might be able to get a 150% damage increase because of overflowing Maelstrom, but it might only give you a 75% damage increase, and that's fine. The point is, your lightning bolts cleave, and you consuming 10 stacks of Maelstrom weapon, so it does a ton of damage to 6 targets. Then you press Ice Strike into a Hailstorm, and your Hailstorm will do double damage because of what Ice Strike says. Now, Ice Strike increases the damage of your next Frost Shock by 100%. So your opener is explosive. It's very powerful. It's Flame Shock, Lava Lash, Primordial Wave, Lightning Bolt, Ice Strike, Frost Shock. Boom, boom. There you go. There's all your damage. You just got all your damage out. And in the meantime, you would have pressed your wolves first. I'm sorry. Because what happens is when you press Primordial Wave, you generate 10 stacks of Maelstrom Weapon, which, guess what? That reduces the cooldown on your wolves by 2 seconds per stack. That's 20 seconds off of the cooldown on your wolves, just right out of the gates. And your wolves are a minute and a half because of Elemental Spirits, right? So you pop wolves, Flame Shock, Lava Lash, spreads it around, big Lightning Bolt, assuming you built up enough. Oh, no, you would have already built it up because you pressed Prime Wave. So wolves, Flame Shock, Lava Lash, Prime Wave, Lightning Bolt, Ice Strike, Frost Shock. And then your wolves have basically had 20, 30 seconds. They've guaranteed had 20 seconds off their cooldown. They've most likely had 30 seconds off their cooldown. So instead of being a minute and a half, they're basically starting out being a 1 minute cooldown just right out of the gates. And you're doing giga crazy 6 target cleave damage. And then once you've kind of settled, that's your big opener. Now you're settling in to the rest of what the kit has to offer, which is a bunch of really good buffs. So you're settling into your Sundering on AoE targets, of course. You're waiting till Primal Lava Actuators is reducing the cooldown of Lava Lash, allowing you to continue to press it. You're waiting for your Hot Hand to proc. Once you get a Hot Hand buff, go ahead and slap that. And then you're just doing... Every time Ice Strike comes off cooldown, you press it and you press your Frost Shock, assuming you have the Hailstorm buff ready to go. And you're going to have a double damage Frost Shock. This is on every pack. Like, multiple times on each pack, you're going to get a double damage Frost Shock that's going to cleave and hit 6 targets. So, it feels like a very smooth, like, low cooldown kind of build where you have a lot of consistent damage all the time. And then you occasionally, every, like, 45 seconds, you get a big burst window with Primordial Wave, where you press this, you get 10 stacks, you consume it with a Lightning Bolt that consumes all 10 stacks, which juices up your next Frost Shock, and then you double juice it with Ice Strike so that the Hailstorm Frost Shock just does a crazy amount of damage. So you have like a consistent amount of damage with Hot Hands proccing, Primal Lava Actuators giving you some damage Sundering, and then these other buffs down here, like Legacy of the Frost Witch and your Wolves, they're just out all the time. You're getting resets on Lava Lash. You're getting resets on Storm Strike. That's just kind of the consistent damage profile. And then every 45 seconds, you bring down the hammer and you absolutely annihilate the next AoE pack that's coming up. This is what I'm envisioning for the kind of frozen Lava Lash build, the Lava Frost build. Lava Frost? Frosted Lava? I don't know what we want to call it. I had a cool name for it a while ago, and I can't remember what it is now. But this is the idea, guys. That's what you want to be doing. You kind of have this really cool burst window every 45 seconds, and then the consistent damage of Hot Hand plus Primal Lava Actuators. And Legacy is just giving you an extra buff whenever you consume stuff, getting you your Storm Strike back. Early in the expansion, Legacy is going to be a really good button. So on top of that, you're combining it with things like Flurry. And then it doesn't really matter, actually, what else you take over on this side of the tree. You need to take this fire damage here, and I would take the leech here. But you need Frost Shock, and you need Flurry, and you need the crit. So Nature's Fury, Flurry, Frost Shock, and then the fire and ice. And this is like a really cool fire and ice build. This is what it's going to be doing. Particularly for Mythic Plus. It's not going to do as much damage on single target. But just the addition of Ice Strike having this functionality with Frost Shock now is really, really huge. The fact that you can pick up a bunch of free, like, legendary, powerful options now is really, really cool. The amount of talents that you can get access to that you didn't have before is wild, right? We have Primal Lava Actuators. We have Storm Flurry. We have Hot Hand. Those used to compete with each other. We have Witch Doctor Wolfbones. We have Elemental Assault and Hailstorm and Ice Strike. We have Legacy of the Frost Witch, Primordial Wave with Splintered Elements and this new addition to it. Like, there's a lot going on here, and you get access to so many more buttons now, or buffs, passive kind of buffs to your other buttons, that it's just going to be really smooth, and I think this is going to do a ton of damage. This is kind of my suspicion here. So this is my Fire and Ice build for Enhancement Shaman moving into Dragonflight. If this tree stays relatively similar, I think it will. This is one of the better trees in the game right now. Then I think you could see this build perform very, very well for you in Mythic Plus. Once again, you open with a huge, the 45-second burst window. You know, you put your wolves out, you press Flame Shock into Lava Lash, spread it around, get your 6th target with a Primordial Wave, hit that Lightning Bolt. The Primordial Wave would generate 10 stacks. It's going to reduce the cooldown on your dogs already. That Lightning Bolt is going to do crazy amounts of damage. It's going to give you 36% haste for 12 seconds. Then you're going to press Hailstorm. You're going to press your, Ice Strike into Frost Shock, which does a huge cleave on your Frost Shock, and it's going to double the damage of it. So that's your big opener, and then you have the consistent damage of Hot Hand procs with PLA, and so on and so forth. So I really like this. You might notice that I didn't take things like Wind Fury. I don't have Doom Winds. That stuff is actually irrelevant for this build. You're not worried so much about your Wind Fury weapon damage. You're worried more about your fire damage, your frost damage, and your nature damage, the lightning bolts and stuff that are coming through. So what do you guys think about this build? You think this will be a viable build in Dragonflight moving forward? Of course, we're really early in the alpha. I just love speculating about the kinds of builds that I can already make in the live game with my character, and like versus the types of builds that, you know, we're going to be able to do in Dragonflight. So let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Let me know what you think about Enhancement Shaman, and in particular this Fire and Ice build. Do you think it's going to be good? So thank you once again for watching. Drop a like if you like this video, and subscribe if you haven't already. I would really appreciate that, guys. It goes a long way to helping me. If you want to support the future of what I'm doing here, Patreon is the best way to do it. I've got a link down below, and there's different perks you can get depending on what level you sign up for. So think about that as well. Once again, guys, thank you so much for being here. I love you all, and I will see you in the next one.